President Lai Ching-te begins a series of unity speeches meant to heal Taiwan's political divide. Worldwide protests against U.S. actions in the Middle East as President Donald Trump hints at regime change in Iran. Taiwanese pop stars and a baseball veteran will be in the spotlight at a Major League Baseball game highlighting Taiwanese culture. Plus, Taiwan Railways has raised ticket prices for the first time in 3 decades. Passengers in Taipei say they are feeling the pinch. Good evening and welcome to TaiwanPlus News. I'm Eric Gao. President Lai Ching-te has kicked off a series of speeches around Taiwan aimed at uniting the country. Isabel Wang reports on his first stop in New Taipei.
President Lai Ching-te greets an audience in New Taipei. He's here to give the first in a series of 10 speeches with the theme of uniting the country. It comes as Taiwan's partisan divide continues to grow. The theme of this speech, nation. In his remarks, Lai reiterated Taiwan's sovereignty, emphasizing that the People's Republic of China has never ruled the island country.
中华民国台湾，台湾都是我们的名字啦，都是我们国家的名字啦，都一样响亮啦。无论用哪一个民族称呼我们，我们都是独立自主的国家啦。有近80%民众认同中华民国与中华人民共和国互不隶属。台湾的未来由全体2300万人决定。
In the face of growing aggression from China and other pressing challenges, Lai said it is important for Taiwan's people and political parties to band together. But the opposition has questioned the timing and purpose of Lai's speaking tour, which was announced just 1 day after election authorities greenlit recall votes against 24 Kuomintang lawmakers. Those are set to take place on July 26.
我不知道总统的目的到底是为了团结台湾，还是为了团结他个人的权利啊？只为一人之私、一党之私，就要想消灭在野党。
The chair of the smaller Taiwan People's Party also criticized Lai's unity speeches, saying they are aimed at fueling political divisions.
为了促进台湾社会的和谐，我非常乐于跟赖总统针对人民关心的10件大事公开对谈。
The presidential office says Lai's other 9 speeches will cover topics ranging from diplomacy, national defense, and cross-strait relations, to democracy, peace, and prosperity. But with the mass lawmaker recall movement unfolding in the background, bringing the country together will not be an easy task. Scott Huang and Isabel Wang for TaiwanPlus.
A Chinese Coast Guard vessel was tracked encroaching on restricted waters around Taiwan's Dongsha Island. Taiwan's Coast Guard says it dispatched 2 of its own ships to monitor the Chinese vessel, which left the area early on Sunday morning. Dongsha is also known as Pratas Island, and it's one of the 2 Taiwan-administered islands in the hotly contested South China Sea. That island is also claimed by China. The world is on edge as Iran and Israel continue to trade strikes after U.S. attacks on Iran's nuclear facilities. There's been condemnation in cities across the globe as leaders struggle to find a path forward. Chris Gorn reports.
In Tel Aviv, air raid sirens signal another night of missile attacks from Iran. The constant exchange of missiles between the 2 sides has intensified since the U.S. sent B-2 bombers to strike 3 facilities in Iran. Washington says were being used to develop nuclear weapons. Protests condemning the U.S. strikes were held around the world, from Pakistan to New York City, Paris, and Iran's capital itself, Tehran, where Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian joined those in the streets expressing their anger.
America and Israel are countries that have been committing crimes for 100 years. We must respond to them in a way that will make Israel disappear. And 7 generations later, Americans will remember our response.
Asian markets were down slightly on Monday amid uncertainty about how the conflict could impact oil prices. While many wonder what's next, the U.S. is sending mixed messages.
No, Kristen, we're not at war with Iran. We're at war with Iran's nuclear program. And
though the vice president says the U.S. is not at war with Iran, on social media, U.S. President Donald Trump left open the question of U.S.-backed regime change in the country. In an emergency session of the United Nations Security Council, Israel defended the U.S. and its own attacks on Iran.
Make no mistake, the cost of inaction would have been catastrophic. A nuclear Iran would have been a death sentence just as much for you as it would have been for us.
Iranian security officials called the strikes crimes that require a response.
Each time they committed a crime, they received a decisive response, and this time will be no different.
Leaders around the world continue to call for a diplomatic solution. But with both attacks and rhetoric growing in intensity, diplomacy may be even harder to reach. Delphine Chun and Chris Gorin for TaiwanPlus.
Taiwan stocks dropped sharply on Monday following the U.S. strikes on Iran. Taiwan's benchmark index, the TAIEX, opened down 2%, plunging over 400 points before recovering somewhat. Meanwhile, oil prices across Asia surged, hitting 5-month highs. The new Taiwan dollar also dropped in value on Monday. The government says it is closely monitoring the situation and will work to keep prices stable. Taiwan is about to step up to the plate in the U.S. city of Phoenix. This September, the city will host a Taiwanese heritage celebration at an Arizona Diamondbacks baseball game for the second time. Chris Gorin explains how the event has special significance to the city's Taiwanese population.
We're here in Taipei, where plans have just been announced for a Taiwanese heritage celebration to take place in the U.S. state of Arizona this September. It will be the second time the event has been held. The event will highlight Taiwan's culture during a Major League Baseball game featuring the Phoenix-based Arizona Diamondbacks. Organizers today revealed the event's special guests. They include former Taiwanese baseball player and coach Ati Masa, who will throw the game's opening pitch, and the Taiwanese pop group Gen Blue. The choice of Phoenix is no coincidence. That's the home of Taiwan chip giant TSMC's American facilities. And the Taiwan-Phoenix connection could be getting stronger following a recent proposal by SoftBank CEO Masayoshi Son to partner with TSMC on a $1 trillion industrial complex in the city. One of the organizers says the event is an opportunity for the Taiwanese community in Phoenix to come together.
It's really, really hard work for a company that size, for employees to really pick up their family to move and relocate from Taiwan to Arizona. They deserve an event like this to help them celebrate. And they're a little bit homesick, maybe, I have the feeling.
Baseball is very popular in Taiwan, and this event highlights baseball's role not just as a bridge for communities, but also for economies. Ryan Wu and Chris Gorin in Taipei for TaiwanPlus.
Last week, Vietnam and the U.S. held their latest round of talks to reach a trade deal. The Southeast Asian industrial hub is hoping to avoid steep U.S. tariffs on its exports. One way it's navigating the situation is by cracking down on the large amount of fake goods that are sold throughout the country. Ai Chi reports.
$40 for a designer good. On the streets and the shopping malls of Vietnam, such deals are pretty common, but they come with a catch. The luxury brand item you are buying may look authentic, but often enough, it's a fake. The Southeast Asian nation has become a major industrial hub over the years, manufacturing products for some of the world's biggest brands, but this progress has also given rise to a robust counterfeit goods market. And with Vietnam now in talks with the U.S. to avoid steep tariffs on its exports, the government is trying to crack down on a long-standing issue, one seen as a major trade barrier by U.S. officials.
The Domestic Market Management and Market Development Department simultaneously conducts inspections of major business points here, the market centre. This commercial establishment used its public address system to alert vendors to shut down in an effort to disrupt official enforcement activities.
Recent footage shows Vietnamese authorities raiding Saigon Square shopping mall. It's a popular location in Ho Chi Minh City, known for selling knockoffs of famous brands. Many of the fake goods are imported from China, Vietnam's largest source of imports. That's made the fight against counterfeiting a central issue in tariff talks with the U.S., especially as a 90-day pause is set to end in July. But for many in Vietnam, counterfeit goods have long been a part of life, and getting rid of them would negatively affect both consumers and businesses.
For me, my financial situation doesn't allow me to buy expensive, authentic products. Sometimes with clothes and shoes, I know they're fake, but they're affordable for many people. A lot of families don't have the money to buy high-quality clothing and footwear.
I just want the fake clothes to suit me or look good when I wear them. I don't really pay attention to brands or labels. There are even brands I've never heard of, no matter how famous they might be. But for designers, they also want their products to be protected from being copied or pirated.
The U.S. is Vietnam's largest export market, and the tariffs could have a big impact on its economy, driving down foreign manufacturing investment. While it looks for new ways to meet its growth targets for this year, the country is also doing whatever it can to strike the best possible deal with the U.S. Klein Wang and Ai Chi for TaiwanPlus.
On the 80th anniversary of the Battle of Okinawa in 1945, Japanese Prime Minister Ishiba Shigeru pledged to reduce the burden of U.S. military bases on the island. Ishiba was speaking at a ceremony commemorating the bloody World War II battle. Okinawa has hosted U.S. military bases since the end of that war, billeting over 30,000 service members. Ishiba paid tribute to the 200,000 people who died in that battle. They included students and children forced into service by the Japanese Empire. Fighting on Okinawa was one of the bloodiest and most intensely studied battles of the Pacific War. But 80 years after the guns fell silent, some mysteries remain. Bryn Thomas reports on how Taiwan's role in the battle is still shrouded in the fog of war.
On June 22, 1945, the last major battle of World War II ended after nearly 3 months of fierce attritional fighting.
The bloodiest battle of the Pacific War has ended in victory for the Americans on Okinawa. 330 miles from the home islands of Japan, the Stars and Stripes are hoisted on this most vital strategic base.
It's just a classic example of a kind of a violent climax to just this catastrophic event that had swept through Asia and the Pacific. It gives us a little bit of a preview of what the invasion of the Japanese home islands would have been like.
Okinawa, strategic link in the Ryukyu chain. An island strong point in the southern defense system guarding the Japanese mainland.
太平洋战争里面最惨烈的算是日本本土的决战，就是冲绳战役。1945年3月打到6月的3个月左右的这个冲绳战役是非常惨烈的。那当年被称作叫做钢铁风暴，因为美军是用大量的炮弹，几乎把整个那个冲绳夷平。
The battle involved around 1.3 million Allied personnel, U.S. Army, Navy, Marine, and Air Force units, against 120,000 Imperial Japanese defenders. It was the last major battle of the Pacific War, and the first with significant involvement of Taiwanese soldiers in combat, following the start of conscription in Taiwan in January 1945.
Over 200,000 Taiwanese actually served in the Imperial Japanese Army in a wide sense during the war years. Not all of them were in active military service. I think that's more like about 80,000 or so, but others did work that essentially served the wider purpose of the Imperial Japanese Army.
Daily militarization of Taiwanese young men until 1938, when a law is passed that Taiwanese can be volunteer soldiers or volunteer gunzoku, kind of laborers or attached to the military. And then the actual formal draft of Taiwanese men doesn't begin until much later in the war.
The Battle of Okinawa cost the Americans nearly 13,000 lives, about 7% of our frontline troops. Japanese losses were far greater, with over 110,000 killed, almost total annihilation. Among the dead were many Taiwanese conscripts pulled into Japan's war in the final months, but no one knows how many served or how many never came home. Today, a single monument on Okinawa lists just 34 Taiwanese names. Most experts agree the true number is far higher and still hidden in the fog of war. James Lin, Ed Moon, Jeffrey Chen, and Bryn Thomas for TaiwanPlus.
And tune in tomorrow for part 2 of our series on Taiwan's role in the Battle of Okinawa, or check out the full video on YouTube or on our website. And coming up after the break, a decorated Icelandic-Danish artist invites viewers to rethink their relationship with nature in his debut exhibition here in Taipei.
Thank you for sharing our passion for food and Taiwan. Veggie Island explores the vibrant world of plant-based cuisine.
Wow. This is amazing.
While Taiwan on the Rocks uncovers the stories and craftsmanship behind every sip.
Have you ever tried Taiwanese beer?
Are you ready to taste even more of Taiwan?
For more stories from Taiwan and around the world, follow TaiwanPlus on socials. Pika!
The 59th Golden Bell Awards 2024. Award-winning Mandarin drama.
辩方主张停止审判。
Court of Lies. Catch Taiwan's hit series now on TaiwanPlus.
From industrial parks in Taiwan to here in Vietnam, we're bringing you the latest in tech and business news right here on TaiwanPlus News.
In the face of adversity, the power of truth.
A roadmap for a just and open world, charted by the freest country in Asia.
Taipei for TaiwanPlus.
TaiwanPlus News, a voice of freedom in Asia.
Hello and welcome to Taiwan Talks. I'm Inka Vat. Today we examine China's engagement with Africa.
So, unfortunately, this very aggressive form of cultural revolution-like politics in China seems to be moving forward in this modern era.
This grave injustice is happening.
The issue is, what can the U.S. do to help strengthen Taiwan?
We need that kind of mindset to prepare for the warfare.
What implications does this have on Taiwan and the region as a whole?
Just like Ukraine right now, you need people to understand we're doing this for our own country.
Reaffirmed our support for the Taiwanese ability to make their own decisions about their own future.
It's very hard to duplicate in the short time. Taiwan still can continue being the leading position if we put efforts on R&D.
And you are riding on a wave. This is exactly the time you need to double down.
Or I did not realize I am actually running to be the first Asian woman in the state senate. Our next generation, they can see Asian American is as equal and have the same platform.
Taiwan Talks provides a platform for the voices and perspectives that are shaping our country.
Welcome back. You're watching TaiwanPlus News. For the first time in 30 years, Taiwanese train fares are going up. Starting Monday, passengers are paying over 25% more. Our reporter Irene Lin went to Taipei's key transit hub to find out how commuters feel about this change.
Here at Taipei Main Station, commuters and travelers from all over the country rely on Taiwan Railway, the country's oldest public transportation system, to get to where they need to be every day. But starting on June 23rd, passengers will need deeper pockets to catch a train.
Please proceed to counter number 3.
For the first time in 30 years, Taiwan's state-owned rail corporation is raising ticket prices. Commuters will have to pay an average of 26.8% more. Fares for shorter routes will rise more steeply, while longer distance trips will see smaller hikes. The decision has the support of the central government.
那这一次，其实我看社会上大家也都蛮支持台铁，可以调整票价，让它有足够的经费，可以第一让这个安全能够做得更好。
Taiwan Railway maintained the same fare for decades through inflation, fatal accidents and natural disasters, and rising maintenance costs. But after losing more than $460 million in 2024 alone, Taiwan Rail says the fare hike is part of broader reforms launched since its commercialization last year. The company expects Monday's price hike to increase annual revenue by at least $130 million. And while the rail system remains one of the cheapest ways to travel the country, those who rely on the system are feeling the impact.
我要从台北搭到新竹嘛，那以前是177元，今天变成253元，涨了76元。我刚刚因为我平常没什么看新闻。 然后我刚刚发现怎么突然涨这么多？以我来台北的频率的话，可能会多2到3千哦。
之后上大学要搭火车去上课，这样每天要多少钱？27%。对，很多哎。
每个礼拜会差一些钱，就是没有很开心，因为我到的那个地方好像也只能搭火车了，所以也只能接受这个事实的。
Taiwan Rail has also launched a membership program for passengers in eastern Taiwan, an area where weather and earthquakes lead to frequent delays and cancellations. These passengers will receive a 5 to 8% discount, part of an effort to support travelers in a region with few other affordable transport options.
因为我是在花莲上学，所以上来台北其实是有一个价格的，所以来回的话其实蛮贵的，就影响蛮大的。
But the hikes are not a cure-all for Taiwan Railway's financial woes. They would not affect the hundreds of thousands of commuters that purchase monthly all-in-one tickets known as T-Pass. That means the government will still need to provide subsidies to cover the difference. And while paying more for train tickets may put a dent in someone's savings, it can now be their only option to travel safely and on time. Howard Zhang and Ringlin in Taipei for TaiwanPlus.
Visitors to a Taipei art museum are invited to embark on an unpredictable journey to understand the relationship with nature through the works of an Icelandic-Danish artist. Our reporter Sandy Chi has this story.
Walking through a curtain of mist, with bands of colorful light shimmering around. This is one of the works featured in the exhibition, Your Curious Journey, by Icelandic-Danish artist Olafur Eliasson, who is exhibiting in Asia for the first time, with Taipei being his third stop on the tour. His installations invite visitors on an unpredictable journey of instability.
Because art is an opportunity to question yourself, question your view, question your journey, question the traditional way of doing things and open up for new ways of doing things. Art is unstable. Right? Art is a surprise.
Eliasson is known for unconventional works that blur the lines between art, nature, and science. He harnesses natural elements like light, fog, and water to evoke emotional responses from viewers, hoping to help people rethink their relationship with nature. Among his artworks on display in Taipei, his sun drawing and wind writing series, created in the desert in 2023.
This is the wind machine, so this is very windy. And you can see over here, this is the black and the white. This is the desert speaking, the sun and the wind and everything speaking to us.
However, after decades of working with these natural materials, Eliasson says there's one in particular he favors.
I think my favorite material is maybe time. The time it takes for you to look at something, the journey.
This material is strongly reflected in the Glacier Melt series, which the artist worked on in 1999 and 2019 in Iceland. Many visitors were impressed with Eliasson's works on the first day of the exhibition.
有一件是在喷水的那个装置，就我觉得远远看它因为它就是在一个完全黑暗的空间里面，然后它用灯光的控制去让那个水流好像有一个暂留的作用，所以它在灯光下的时候会感觉有点像一件静止的雕塑，可是你又同时可以听到水流的声音，所以可以感受到那种就是一个能量在那个空间里面吧。
Some who have already seen the artist's exhibits before have come again.
他的作品有一个很特别的地方，是他跟空间当下还有你观者本人的身体都有关系，所以当他的作品移到不同的空间以及来到台湾的时候，其实他被观看的方式应该也是不一样的。所以虽然我在伦敦已经看过这个展览了，但是我知道他来台湾之后，我还是很期待他能在北美馆有怎样的呈现，所以这是我会想要来看的原因。
Eliasson's work will be on display at the museum through the end of September, before moving on to its next stop in Indonesia. While it's here, Eliasson hopes Taipei visitors can stay curious and travel with him on this unpredictable journey. Andy Xue, Simonetta Ho, and Sandy Chi for TaiwanPlus.
And thanks for joining us this evening for TaiwanPlus News. Visit our website to see more of our stories or grab our app to get our content on the go. Finally, we leave you with images of the indigenous Dayak people in Malaysia celebrating the end of the rice harvest season. I'm Eric Gao. Take care, and we'll see you next time.
Summer is here and the heat is on. Get outside, get moving, get in on the action, Taiwan style. From epic trails to wild rivers and sun-soaked waves, adventure is everywhere. When the day cools down, the competition lights up. Fast plays, big moments, and non-stop excitement. All the action, all in one place. Game on Taiwan, where the action lives.